Viral Reactions Analysis, TH, Muivah'S return to Somdal and the mainland Nagaland backlash. A Zalangam media analysis. When Thuengalang Muivah, the veteran leader of the National Socialist Council of Nagaland, Isaac Muivah, was reported to have returned to his native village of Somdal in Ukhrul district, the event triggered a sudden online storm across Naga social spaces. What could have been a moment of quiet reflection for an agging revolutionary instead turned into a viral wave of disdain, sarcasm, and even open hostility from social media users identifying themselves from the Nagaland state. The reactions, raw and unfiltered, reflected not just discontent toward one man, but exposed the deepening internal fractures within the Naga discourse, fractures that have been silently widening for years beneath the surface of political slogans and ceasefire talks. The viral posts, many of which appeared on Facebook and WhatsApp groups, showed a disturbing but revealing pattern. Muivah was no longer being seen as the father of Naga nationalism by a large section of the mainstream Nagaland public. Instead, he was caricatured as a symbol of elitism, arrogance, and political exhaustion. In the flood of comments, one could hear the rumble of accumulated resentment, decades of disillusionment, and perhaps an emerging assertion by the Nagaland-based Nagas to reclaim agency over their own political and economic destiny, away from what they see as the Tangkhul-dominated command structure that once dictated the direction of the Naga movement. This analysis explores those online voices and what they reveal about the changing political psychology of Nagaland. It does not seek to defend or condemn any side, but to understand the tone, context, and layered meanings behind what has now become one of the most viral social reactions in the recent memory of Naga politics. The tone of betrayal and fatigue. The first striking feature of the viral reactions was the tone of emotional exhaustion. The comments did not come from a place of political curiosity, but from fatigue with endless negotiations, fatigue with factional violence, fatigue with taxation, and fatigue with leadership that no longer inspires. One commenter wrote, "Stay there at Ukhrul, don't come to Nagaland," while another echoed, "Live happily in your native village now and forever." Such statements, while personal, reflect a collective sentiment that the Naga public in Nagaland has reached its threshold. Many comments show a resentment not merely toward Muivah himself, but toward what he represents. The long years of armed politics that promised sovereignty but delivered stagnation, fear, and economic distress. "This group has ruined Nagaland's economy and its people. We should stop him coming," one comment read. Behind this line lies an entire social history of extortion, fear, and taxation that ordinary citizens have endured under the umbrella of the national cause. For them, the revolutionary legitimacy that once shielded leaders from criticism has evaporated. What remains is a public no longer afraid to call its old leaders to account. The shift in the moral center. The social media storm also reveals a shift in moral authority from the revolutionary camps to the civic and digital public. In the past, such criticism would have been considered taboo, even dangerous. The Naga nationalist leadership, particularly from Nscn, once commanded near-religious reverence among sections of the Naga people. But in the age of social media, that aura has fractured. Comments calling Muivah Hitler of Nagaland, or a killer with a PhD in arrogance, may appear harsh, but they are symbolic of a society that has outgrown the fear of criticizing its icons. The once monolithic revolutionary authority is now competing with the chaotic, democratic space of online voices, each claiming legitimacy through the language of suffering, taxation, and betrayal. One comment stood out for its clarity: "We are living happily under the Constitution of India. You people are the ones enjoying the benefits of our Naga people by taxation, harassing our own people. We don't want freedom." This represents a radical departure from the rhetoric of the past. The Naga struggle, long centered on freedom from India, now faces a counter-discourse from within Nagaland itself, a population segment that no longer desires separation, but stability, development, and dignity within India's democratic framework. The Ukhrul divide and the ethnic undercurrent. At the heart of these reactions lies an unspoken but powerful ethnic tension. Th. Muivah, a Tangkhul from Manipur, has for decades been at the center of the Naga political narrative, yet many Naga tribes from Nagaland have long harbored quiet skepticism about the dominance of the Tangkhul leadership in the Nscn structure. This skepticism, previously suppressed under the rhetoric of one Naga nation, is now erupting openly in the digital space. Comments such as "stay there in Ukhrul, don't come to Nagaland," or "he is a Manipur leader, let him rule there," highlight this borderless yet divided consciousness. The idea of Nagalim, meant to unify all Nagas across state lines, has ironically been fractured by the very boundaries it sought to dissolve. In these reactions, one can feel a subtle reclaiming of the word Naga by those living within the administrative boundaries of Nagaland. They now speak of "we Nagas in Nagaland" as distinct from the tankholes from Ukhrul. The message is unmistakable. The dream of Greater Nagalim may have emotionally united the Naga people once, but politically, it has created uncomfortable questions of ownership and belonging. This is not merely a conflict between geography, but a cultural tug-of-war between the Tankhul intellectual elite and the Nagaland-based tribal middle class. The former claims revolutionary authenticity, the latter now demands pragmatic governance. Between them lies a broken bridge of trust. From reverence to ridicule, once revered as a freedom fighter and a philosopher, Muivah'S image among many younger Nagas has shifted to that of a relic from a bygone era. The newer generations, raised in an economy that values education, connectivity, and private entrepreneurship, see little relevance in the old dialectic of sovereignty versus subjugation. To them, the armed struggle appears outdated, its leaders unaccountable, and its promises hollow. Social media, being the amplifier of generational sentiment, has brought this irreverence to the surface. "Greater Nagaland exists only in his dreamland," one user commented. The statement does not merely mock an idea, it symbolically buries it. It signals the decline of ideological romanticism and the rise of practical realism. In the age of smartphones and startups, the language of revolution has become less persuasive than the language of opportunity. When commenters accuse Muivah of ruining Nagaland's economy, they are not engaging in ideological debate. They are demanding jobs, infrastructure, and peace, things that armed politics has failed to deliver. The psychological unburdening. For decades, criticism of revolutionary leaders in Nagaland was whispered in private, often laced with fear. The online explosion of resentment, therefore, represents not just anger but psychological liberation. The people are no longer whispering, they are shouting, mocking, and laughing. That laughter, however uncomfortable it may sound, is the laughter of emancipation from decades of emotional captivity under the rhetoric of nationalism. Many commenters refer to Muivah as an ungrateful man or accuse him of destroying the Naga nation. This moral inversion, where the liberator becomes the destroyer, signals a profound cultural shift. The same narrative tools that once glorified him are now being used to condemn him. This unburdening also reveals how deeply personal the Naga struggle has been. The conflict was not fought in distant lands, but within families, clans, and communities. Thus, the backlash against Muivah is not just political rejection, it is emotional catharsis, a way of processing decades of loss, disillusionment, and betrayal. The economic argument. A recurring theme in the viral comments is economic exhaustion. Several users blame Muivah and his group for crippling Nagaland's development through perpetual taxation and extortion. "Communalism has no value in today's global scenario," one user wrote, while another said, "This group has ruined Nagaland's economy and its people." Behind these words lies a generational understanding of economics that the older revolutionary leadership may have underestimated. The younger Nagas, many educated abroad or in Indian metros, now view progress in terms of market access, startups, and tourism, not in terms of underground sovereignty. To them, the underground taxation system has become a parasitic burden, draining energy from a society already struggling with unemployment and underdevelopment. The resentment is not ideological but material. The social media backlash thus represents the collision between a subsistence-era revolutionary model and a modern capitalist aspiration. The people are no longer satisfied with symbolic freedom, they demand tangible prosperity. The collapse of revolutionary romance. The comments also reveal that the romance of revolution, the songs, slogans, and mythic tales of heroism, no longer inspire. Instead, they are seen as melodramatic distractions from daily suffering. The reverence for the underground's moral authority has collapsed. "We don't want freedom," wrote one commenter bluntly. That single sentence encapsulates the generational rupture in Naga consciousness. For a long time, the underground movement justified its presence through the idea that it represented the Naga people's collective aspiration. Now, the very people it claimed to represent have publicly withdrawn that moral mandate. The idea of Nagaland has become, for many, a memory, powerful but no longer desirable. The symbolic return and its irony. Muivah'S return to Somdal carries symbolic irony. It was a return not merely to his birthplace, but to his origins, an Aging leader retreating from a land that once revered him. The reactions from Nagaland show that his homecoming to Ukhrul was perceived as an exile rather than a homecoming. To many commenters, the move symbolized the end of an era. The old revolutionary who once dreamed of uniting all Nagas under one flag now finds himself confined to a single village. The physical return mirrors the ideological retreat of the movement itself, from international platforms to domestic irrelevance. It is a tragic closure to a life that began with vision, but ended amid division. The emerging Nagaland identity. Beyond the ridicule, something profound is happening. The birth of a new Nagaland identity that is politically autonomous from the insurgent narrative. The younger Nagas in the comments assert a civic identity that prioritizes peace, legality, and development within India. This is not submission but transformation. The rhetoric of living happily under the Constitution of India is a powerful political statement, signaling that the new generation seeks legitimacy not through underground governance, but through democratic institutions. This emerging consciousness redefines what it means to be Naga. It is no longer solely about the pan-tribal revolutionary unity, but about local governance, dignity, and modernization. Muivah'S critics, intentionally or not, are articulating the blueprint of post-revolutionary Nagaland. The collapse of the cult. For decades, Muivah'S leadership was sustained by the cult of secrecy and ideological supremacy. The viral comments represent the collapse of that cult. When ordinary citizens can publicly call a once feared leader Hitler of Nagaland or tell him to retire, it means the walls of fear have crumbled. In digital spaces, the revolutionary myth dissolves quickly under the heat of memes and ridicule. The young Nagas who dominate online platforms are not emotionally tied to the revolutionary narrative. They measure leaders not by ideology, but by accountability and relevance. In this sense, the digital revolution has done what decades of military operations could not. It has disarmed the aura of invincibility surrounding the underground leadership. The man and the myth. Muivah'S personal story remains one of the most complex in northeast India. To some, he is still the architect of Naga nationalism, to others the obstacle to peace. But what the viral reactions show is that the myth of infallibility is gone. He has been humanized, mocked, criticized, and even pitied. That humanization, though harsh, is necessary for a society seeking to transition from romantic revolution to responsible governance. The comments calling him arrogant or self-centered may not be entirely fair, but they represent the democratization of opinion in a society long bound by silence. When people can speak without fear, it means they have reclaimed their voice from the shadows of history. The future beyond the storm. The viral storm will fade, as all social media storms do, but the sentiments it revealed will not. They mark a psychological turning point in Naga society. The people have spoken not just against a leader, but against a system of thought that has outlived its relevance. The next phase of Naga politics will likely be defined not by armed struggle, but by political pragmatism. New leaders will have to derive legitimacy not from guns but from governance, not from ideology but from integrity. The public's voice, amplified through social media, will be the new parliament of opinion in Nagaland. The reactions to Muivah'S return are not merely insults. They are signals of a cultural transition, from reverence to realism, from obedience to accountability, from romantic nationalism to civic consciousness. Conclusion. The viral backlash against Muivah'S return to Somdal represents more than online anger. It is the collective exhalation of a people long suffocated by the burden of idealism and disillusionment. It reveals a society that is maturing politically, one that dares to question its icons and demand transparency. The generational shift is clear. The Naga struggle has entered a post-revolutionary era. For Muivah, this may mark a personal homecoming, but for Nagaland, it signifies the end of an ideological journey. The man who once dreamed of uniting all Nagas now returns to a land divided not by India, but by its own fatigue. His return is both symbolic and sobering, a reminder that revolutions, like their leaders, must eventually face the mirror of time. Sources: collected social media reactions from public comment sections related to TH. Muivah'S reported return to Somdal, 2025. Verified screenshots and discussions circulating in public online spaces were referenced for sentiment analysis. Disclaimer: this analysis is provided by Nscn Media for informational and awareness purposes only. It is based on publicly available social media reactions and does not represent the official stance of any political or social organization. The views expressed herein are interpretations of public discourse and do not intend to defame or promote hostility toward any community or individual. Nscn Media encourages critical reading, peaceful dialogue, and respect for all identities. Produced by Nscn Media, independent ethnopolitical analysis platform.